Betrayal. It's a word that many of us have experienced. We all know the pain, the anguish, the shock, and the deep, bitter feeling of being betrayed by someone we loved and trusted. In relationships, whether romantic, familial, or friendship, we invest so much of ourselves. We give our hearts, our time, our trust, and our loyalty. We pour everything we have into those relationships, hoping for the same in return. But what happens when we get hurt? What happens when the ones we love disappoint us? What happens when we experience betrayal? In this journey called life, betrayal is inevitable. But how we respond to betrayal determines the trajectory of our lives. Listen to me carefully. Betrayal is not the end. It is a powerful opportunity to awaken to your purpose, your strength, and the greatness within you. Let me share with you 3 betrayals that you must never forget in your relationships. These are not betrayals of others, but of yourself, for the most dangerous kind of betrayal begins within. Let me speak to you today about betrayal that is woven into your very identity, your thoughts, and your behavior. Once you understand these betrayals, once you see them for what they truly are, you will have the power to rise above them. First, there is the betrayal of your own purpose. Too many people spend their lives in relationships that drain them, relationships that distract them, relationships that leave them hollow. You are not called to be someone else's emotional crutch or to give up your dreams to make someone else happy. You understand that you are born with a purpose. You are not here to simply exist. You are here to make a difference, to live a life of significance, and to fulfill a calling that is uniquely yours. Too many people betray their own calling by staying in relationships that pull them away from their destiny. It may be comfortable. It may be easy. But the longer you stay in a relationship that doesn't honor your purpose, the more you betray your own future. You see, your purpose is the reason you exist. Without it, you are just drifting. Every relationship, every interaction must contribute to the fulfillment of your purpose. If a relationship is leading you away from your dreams, your potential, your calling, then it is betraying you. And if you stay in it, you are betraying yourself. Too often, people allow their love for others to make them forget their own life's calling. You cannot afford to forget your purpose. It is sacred. It is divine. It is the very reason for your existence on this earth. When you betray your own purpose, you are denying the world the gift you were born to give. Second, there is the betrayal of your own boundaries. Boundaries are critical to every relationship, and without boundaries, we begin to being hurt, exploited, and manipulated. You have to know your value, your worth, and what you will allow into your life. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They are fences that preserve your peace, your mental health, and your emotional well-being. Without boundaries, people will take advantage of you, and you will keep giving until you are empty. You must understand that no one has the right to dictate your life or cross the lines you've set for yourself. If you have no boundaries, you are betraying your own dignity. You are allowing others to take what is rightfully yours, whether it be your time, your energy, or your peace of mind. Every time you allow someone to violate your personal boundaries, you are committing an act of self-betrayal. You are telling yourself that your needs, your desires, and your well-being do not matter as much as pleasing others. Now, I'm not suggesting that you become cold or disconnected from the people around you. But what I am saying is this: your self-worth is not for sale. Your peace is not negotiable. Your mental health is non-refundable. If you allow someone to cross your boundaries, you are betraying your own sense of self-respect. And if you are in a relationship that consistently disrespects your boundaries, you must ask yourself why you are allowing this betrayal to continue. The moment you establish and enforce your boundaries is the moment you begin to reclaim your power. Never forget this: boundaries are a declaration of your value. And when you betray your boundaries, you betray yourself. Finally, there is the betrayal of your own happiness. Too many people live their lives in relationships where they are constantly sacrificing their voice for the sake of others. I'm not talking about compromising in a healthy way. I'm talking about the kind of compromise where you give up your happiness to make others happy. The kind of sacrifice where you allow others to take your peace, your joy, and your contentment, and in exchange, you are left empty, confused, and miserable. You cannot give what you do not have. You cannot love others if you don't love yourself. You cannot give peace if you are not at peace with yourself. If you betray your happiness for the sake of others, you are making a monumental error. Your happiness is not dependent on anyone else. It is within you deep inside, and you must protect it. No relationship is worth sacrificing your joy. No one, no matter how much you love them, should be able to take away your peace. Too many times, people get caught in the lie that love means giving up their happiness for the happiness of someone else. That is a betrayal of the highest order. No one has the right to steal your joy. No one should be allowed to strip you of your peace. I want you to understand something very important today. Happiness is a choice. It is a decision you make every single day. It is not something that can be given or taken away by someone else. If you are in a relationship where your happiness is constantly under attack, it's time to reevaluate that relationship. Do not allow anyone to make you feel that your joy is not important. The moment you betray your happiness, you betray the essence of who you are. You have a divine right to be happy. You have a divine right to live a life of peace, contentment, and joy. And no relationship, no matter how much you love the person, should ever cause you to abandon that. Now, let me make something clear. Betrayal in relationships is not always about the actions of others. The truth is, sometimes the greatest betrayal comes from within. We can betray ourselves by allowing others to dictate our lives, by compromising our values, and by sacrificing our own happiness for the sake of others. We can betray our own purpose, boundaries, and joy without even realizing it. That's why it's so important to be aware of these betrayals in our lives. Because once we recognize them, we have the power to change them. Let me ask you something. How many times have you allowed your purpose to be compromised for the sake of someone else's comfort? How many times have you sacrificed your boundaries, letting people walk all over you, take from you, and use you? How many times have you put your happiness on the back burner to make someone else happy? If you are honest with yourself, you will see that these betrayals are not uncommon. And they don't just affect your relationships with others. They affect your relationship with yourself. They affect your relationship with your destiny, with your future, and with your happiness. But here's the good news. You don't have to continue in this cycle. The moment you wake up to these betrayals, the moment you recognize them for what they are, you can begin to take control of your life again. You can begin to reclaim your purpose, your boundaries, and your happiness. You were not born to live a life of betrayal. You were born to live a life of fulfillment. You were born to be the best version of yourself, and that requires in yourself was your boundaries and your joy. No one should have that power over you. If you're in a relationship that is costing you your peace, your happiness, or your purpose, it's time to have the courage to walk away. It's time to stop betraying yourself. It's time to choose you. Remember, life is not about living for the approval of others. It's about living for your own approval. When you live authentically, when you live with purpose, when you live with healthy boundaries, and when you live in joy, you attract relationships that reflect that same energy. You deserve relationships that honor you, that support your dreams, that protect your peace, and that encourage your growth. You deserve relationships where you can be yourself without compromise, where you can love freely and fully, and where you can live the life you were born to live. Never forget these three betrayals. The betrayal of your own purpose, the betrayal of your own boundaries, and the betrayal of your own happiness. If you can guard these three, you will guard your life. You will protect your future. You will walk in the fullness of who you were created to be. And nothing, no relationship, no situation will ever be able to steal your joy again. Your purpose is the foundation of your existence. It is the reason you wake up every morning, the driving force behind every decision you make, and the energy that fuels your journey. Too often, people get caught in the noise of life and lose sight of their true calling. Relationships, work pressure, societal expectations, and even family can cause you to forget who you are meant to be. The greatest betrayal you can commit is to abandon your purpose for the sake of other people's agendas or demands. When you fail to protect your purpose, you are not just losing time, you are losing your essence. Your purpose is not something that can be easily replaced or recreated. It is unique to you. It's the combination of your talents, passions, experiences, and dreams that form the essence of who you are. Every day you stray from it, you stray from your authentic self. But protecting your purpose doesn't just mean chasing your dreams. It means aligning your relationships, your habits, and your choices with that purpose. It means being intentional about the direction of your life and refusing to allow distractions to pull you off course. It's easy to get sidetracked, especially when people around you don't understand your vision or when others try to impose their dreams upon you. You may be surrounded by people who want you to prioritize their needs, their goals, and their desires over your own. It may feel like love or like a form of loyalty, but in reality, it's an invitation to neglect your true calling. Many people get lost in relationships where they give and give, only to realize years later that they have sacrificed their dreams and aspirations in the process. They find themselves living for someone else's happiness without ever asking whether they are living for their own. You must guard your purpose with vigilance. It requires self-awareness and clarity of mind to identify when you are being pulled off your path. Ask yourself if the people and activities in your life are helping you move closer to your purpose, or if they are simply occupying space and time. Are you fulfilling your potential? Or are you spending your life in a cycle of fulfilling other people's expectations? It's vital to know when to say no to things, situations, and even people that do not contribute to your life's mission. When you protect your purpose, you are not being selfish, you're being wise. Your purpose is the gift you were given to impact the world, and it is your responsibility to nurture it. No one else will fulfill your purpose for you, and no one else can take the place of your calling. Your purpose is as unique as your fingerprint. If you allow others to steer you away from it, you are robbing the world of what only you can give. Protecting your purpose requires discipline. It means saying no to distractions, staying focused even when it feels uncomfortable, and making decisions that are aligned with your greater mission. There will always be opportunities to give up or veer off course, but remember that your purpose is the compass that guides you. When you lose sight of it, you lose direction. When you stay true to it, you gain clarity and fulfillment. Protecting your purpose is the most powerful way to ensure you live a life of meaning and impact. Boundaries are essential in every aspect of life. They are the invisible lines that define what is acceptable and what is not in terms of how others treat you and how you treat yourself. Setting and enforcing boundaries is one of the most important ways to protect your energy, your peace, and your well-being. Without boundaries, you open yourself up to being drained, manipulated, and even abused. When you allow others to overstep your boundaries, you are giving them power over your life and your emotions. You are essentially saying you have the right to dictate my experience, my time, my space, and my emotions. This is a form of self-betrayal because you allow others to violate your core values and needs. It's crucial to recognize that boundaries are not about building walls to shut people out. They are not about pushing others away or isolating yourself from the world. Boundaries are about protecting your inner world and preserving your peace. They help you honor your needs, your priorities, and your values. They ensure that you are able to give to others from a place of abundance, not from a place of emptiness. Without boundaries, you end up giving far more than you receive. And over time, this imbalance can lead to burnout, resentment, and frustration. People will try to take from you, whether it's your time, energy, or resources. It's human nature to test the limits of what we can get away with. If you fail to set clear boundaries, others will unconsciously or consciously overstep them. Sometimes this happens because people are unaware of their impact on you. Other times it happens because they are intentionally trying to push your limits. Regardless of the reason, the result is the same. You are left feeling drained, disrespected, and unappreciated. Enforcing boundaries means being unapologetic about what you need and what you will no longer tolerate. It's about being firm but respectful when you communicate your limits. It's also about understanding that you have the right to say no without feeling guilty or selfish. Many people struggle with guilt when they begin to set boundaries because they fear disappointing others or causing conflict. But here's the truth. You cannot live a life of peace, fulfillment, and authenticity without boundaries. If someone truly cares about you, they will respect your boundaries. If they don't, then it's a sign that the relationship is unhealthy and you must be willing to walk away or create distance. Setting boundaries isn't just about others, it's about respecting your own needs. How often do you push yourself beyond your limits for the sake of others? How often do you neglect your own health, rest, and personal space because you are too focused on pleasing people? Your body, mind, and soul require space to grow, heal, and recharge. Without boundaries, you will deplete yourself, and eventually you will have nothing left to give. Self-care becomes a distant memory when you allow others to dictate your time and energy. Boundaries also apply to how you allow others to speak to you, treat you, and interact with you. If someone is rude, disrespectful, or manipulative, it's your responsibility to set a boundary and let them know that their behavior is unacceptable. This is not about being confrontational. It's about being clear and firm in your communication. When you allow people to disrespect you, you are teaching them that it is okay to do so. But when you set boundaries, you send a message that you value yourself and that you expect to be treated with dignity and respect. When you learn to set and enforce healthy boundaries, you are protecting not only your peace, but also your sense of self-worth. Boundaries help you define who you are and who you are not. They help you stay aligned with your values and your purpose. By honoring your boundaries, you protect your integrity and ensure that it's spent on the things and people that truly matter to you. The power of boundaries lies in their ability to keep you grounded, focused, and true to yourself, no matter what life throws at you. Happiness is not a luxury, it is a necessity. It is a fundamental right that belongs to you and should never be sacrificed for the sake of others. In a world where many people live to please others, to fulfill expectations, and to meet external demands, it's easy to forget that your happiness is not contingent upon anyone or anything other than yourself. Yet, so many individuals betray their own happiness by allowing their lives to revolve around the needs and desires of others. They become consumed with the idea of making others happy, often at the expense of their own joy. This sacrifice, however, is not noble, it is self-betrayal. When you consistently put others' happiness ahead of your own, you create a pattern of self-neglect. You put your dreams, your desires, your well-being on the back burner, convincing yourself that it's okay because you are doing it for someone else. However, the reality is that no relationship, no matter how close or loving, should ever cost you your happiness. If your happiness is constantly dependent on the approval or acceptance of others, you will always find yourself in a cycle of frustration, disappointment, and unfulfilled expectations. Your happiness is not meant to be a commodity that you trade away for approval or love. It is a gift, a state of being that comes from within. You must learn to protect it, to nurture it, and to safeguard it against the forces that seek to take it away. This does not mean you become selfish or neglect the people around you. It simply means that you recognize that your happiness is non-negotiable. You must be at peace with yourself before you can bring peace to others. If you do not protect your own joy, you will have nothing to offer to anyone else. There is a common misconception that true love and sacrifice require the abandonment of one's own happiness for the sake of someone else. But love does not require self-sabotage. True love is about mutual respect, support, and growth. It is about celebrating one another's happiness and encouraging each other to be the best version of themselves. When you betray your own happiness for the sake of others, you are not practicing love, you are practicing self-doubt, self-denial, and self-deprivation. This kind of love ultimately leaves you depleted, angry, and resentful because you have ignored your own needs and desires for far too long. Taking care of your happiness also means taking responsibility for your own emotional well-being. It means acknowledging that you are the only person who can truly control how you feel. External circumstances, the opinions of others, and the actions of those around you can influence your mood, but they do not have the power to dictate your happiness. You must choose happiness, despite the challenges you face, the mistakes you've made, or the obstacles in your path. Happiness is not something that comes when all your problems are solved, but something that comes when you decide to live with a sense of peace and gratitude regardless of your situation. You must also recognize that happiness is not a destination, it is a journey. It's a constant choice, a daily commitment to finding joy in the small moments, in the little victories, and in the connections you make. It is about being grateful for where you are while continuing to pursue your dreams. Happiness is not about waiting for perfect circumstances. It is about learning to thrive in the imperfect moments, to appreciate what you have, and to look for the beauty in every experience, no matter how challenging it may seem. When you betray your own happiness, you betray your ability to live fully. You deny yourself the opportunity to experience life to its fullest potential. Your happiness is the fuel that drives you, the light that guides your path, and the strength that sustains you. When you let go of the belief that your happiness depends on others, you reclaim your power. You realize that no one has the ability to take away your joy unless you allow them to. And when you protect your happiness, you open yourself to a life of peace, fulfillment, and contentment, no matter the circumstances. Self-betrayal is one of the most insidious and damaging forms of betrayal because it often goes unnoticed until it has already caused significant harm. It's easy to recognize when someone else betrays you, but much harder to see when you are betraying yourself. The reality is that many people live their lives in a constant state of self-betrayal, either through ignoring their inner voice, compromising their values, or neglecting their own needs. Every time you ignore your intuition, suppress your desires, or allow yourself to be treated in ways that go against your self-worth, you are betraying the very essence of who you are. Self-betrayal can take many forms. One of the most common is when you ignore your true feelings and pretend that everything is okay, even when it isn't. You might suppress your emotions to avoid confrontation, to keep the peace, or to avoid disappointing others. But in doing so, you deny your authentic self the right to express itself. You tell yourself that your feelings don't matter, that your needs are not as important as others, and that your voice is not worthy of being heard. This is a powerful form of self-betrayal because over time it erodes your self-esteem and leaves you feeling disconnected from who you truly are. Another form of self-betrayal occurs when you compromise your values or principles in order to fit in, gain approval, or avoid conflict. You may find yourself doing things that go against your integrity because you fear judgment, rejection, or disapproval. Maybe you find yourself staying in unhealthy relationships, tolerating disrespectful behavior, or engaging in actions that don't align with your values, all because you want to avoid the discomfort that comes with setting boundaries or standing up for yourself. But each time you do this, you lose a little piece of yourself. You betray your own sense of right and wrong, and this leads to a deep inner conflict that can affect your mental and emotional health. Self-betrayal also happens when you abandon your dreams, passions, and purpose in order to fulfill other people's expectations. You might spend years in a job that you hate, in a relationship that drains you, or pursuing goals that don't resonate with your soul, simply because you've been told it's what you should do. You may tell yourself that you'll be happy once you reach that finish line, but the truth is, you've already betrayed yourself by allowing someone else's definition of success to dictate your life. When you silence your inner calling for the sake of external validation, you are neglecting the very thing that gives you life, your purpose. Sometimes self-betrayal manifests in more subtle ways. It can show up as perfectionism, where you constantly push yourself to achieve unrealistic standards, believing that you are not enough unless you meet these external measures of success. It might appear as chronic self-criticism, where you constantly undermine your achievements and belittle your efforts, telling yourself that you are not worthy of love, success, or happiness unless you do more or become someone else. This form of self-betrayal keeps you in a state of constant dissatisfaction and self-doubt, preventing you from ever fully embracing who you are and what you have accomplished. When you betray yourself, you deny your own worth, and this manifests in every area of your life. You begin to attract relationships, opportunities, and experiences that reflect the way you see yourself limiting, unworthy, or unimportant. You become disconnected from your true desires and unable to make decisions that support your growth. In this state of self-betrayal, you remain stuck in patterns that drain your energy and prevent you from stepping into the fullness of your potential. Recognizing self-betrayal is the first step toward healing. It requires honesty with yourself and the courage to face the areas where you have been compromising your own happiness and well-being. Once you become aware of these patterns, you can begin to shift your mindset, honor your feelings, and realign your actions with your true values. The journey of overcoming self-betrayal is about learning to trust yourself again, respecting your needs, and prioritizing your well-being. It's about reclaiming your voice and your power so that you can live authentically and with integrity. Only then will you be able to experience the peace and fulfillment that comes from living in alignment with your true self. Authentic relationships are the foundation of a fulfilling life. These relationships are built on mutual respect, trust, and genuine connection, where both individuals are able to show up as their true selves without fear of judgment or compromise. When you enter into a relationship, whether romantic, familial, or platonic, it's important to be clear about what you need and expect from that connection. Authentic relationships are not about sacrificing your true identity or pretending to be someone you're not to gain acceptance. They are about creating a space where both people can grow, evolve, and support each other in becoming the best versions of themselves. Too often, people settle for relationships that don't honor their true selves. They remain in situations that drain them, where they have to constantly hide parts of who they are or suppress their desires to keep the peace. In these types of relationships, one or both people may feel obligated to put on a mask, pretending to be someone they are not in order to meet the other person's needs or expectations. But true connection cannot happen in this space. You cannot form a meaningful bond with someone when you are not being authentic to who you are. The foundation of a strong relationship is rooted in honesty and openness, both with yourself and with others. When you fail to be authentic, you risk betraying yourself. You may find yourself compromising your values, dreams, and desires to fit into a mold that is not meant for you. This leads to resentment, frustration, and a sense of disconnection, as you feel like you are constantly giving more than you are receiving or being recognized for the person you truly are. Authentic relationships allow you to bring your whole self to the table, your strengths, your flaws, your aspirations, and even your fears. When you show up in this way, you create a space for the other person to do the same. You form a connection that is real and meaningful, one that fosters mutual growth, understanding, and support. It's essential to remember that authentic relationships are not about perfection. They do not require that you or the other person be flawless. Instead, they are about vulnerability to share your true self, even when it's uncomfortable, and to receive the same from others. In these relationships, there is room for mistakes, growth, and learning, because both individuals are committed to being real and supportive of each other's journeys. Authenticity means embracing your flaws and allowing others to do the same, recognizing that no one is perfect, but everyone is worthy of love, respect, and acceptance. Furthermore, authentic relationships require healthy boundaries. When you set boundaries, you are showing up in a way that honors your needs, your emotions, and your time. Boundaries ensure that both individuals in the relationship feel valued and respected, and they prevent the relationship from becoming imbalanced or one-sided. In an authentic relationship, both people feel empowered to express their needs without fear of rejection or judgment. When boundaries are respected, the relationship can flourish because both individuals feel safe and free to be themselves. A relationship that does not allow for authenticity or self-expression is not one that will lead to growth or fulfillment. You cannot expect to thrive in an environment that does not allow you to show up fully. The key to creating and maintaining authentic relationships is to continually choose to show up as your true self and to find people who will accept and celebrate you for who you are. These relationships will inspire you, challenge you, and encourage you to become the best version of yourself. They will support your dreams, respect your boundaries, and honor your journey. If you are in a relationship where you feel you have to hide parts of yourself or constantly compromise your values to keep the peace, it's time to reassess whether that relationship is serving you in the way that it should. Authentic relationships require that both people are willing to be vulnerable, transparent, true to themselves. They require open communication, trust, and respect. When you embrace authenticity, you begin to attract people who will love and accept you for who you are, without judgment or expectation. This is the foundation of all healthy, fulfilling relationships. In life, we often encounter betrayal, but the most painful form of betrayal is not from others, it's from ourselves. The key to living a life full of purpose, peace, and fulfillment is to recognize when we are betraying our own needs, values, and happiness. The three betrayals we must never forget are the betrayals of our purpose, our boundaries, and our happiness. These betrayals do not only hurt us in the moment, they affect the very essence of who we are and can alter the course of our lives if left unchecked. We must protect our purpose at all costs. Our purpose is the reason we exist. It is the driving force that gives meaning to every day. When we allow others to derail us from our path, or when we compromise our dreams for the sake of others, we are betraying the very core of who we are. Protecting our purpose means having the courage to stay true to ourselves, even when it's difficult, and not allowing anyone or anything to distract us from what we were created to do. At the same time, boundaries are not a luxury, they are a necessity. Boundaries define our limits, protect our energy, and preserve our well-being. When we fail to set and enforce healthy boundaries, we open ourselves to being drained and manipulated. To live a life of peace, we must understand that setting boundaries is not about being selfish, it's about taking care of ourselves so that we can be the best version of who we are for ourselves and others. Without boundaries, we are prone to burnout, resentment, and ultimately self-betrayal. Lastly, we must never sacrifice our happiness. True happiness comes from within, and it is not contingent on external factors or the approval of others. Too often we neglect our own joy in pursuit of making others happy or fulfilling societal expectations. But this leads to a life of quiet dissatisfaction, as we lose sight of what truly brings us fulfillment. Protecting our happiness is about choosing to honor our inner peace and well-being, regardless of what the world around us may demand. Authentic relationships, self-awareness, and personal growth are built upon the foundation of these three principles. When we protect our purpose, establish and enforce boundaries, and prioritize our happiness, we are aligning ourselves with the life we were meant to live. It's not always easy, but it is always worth it. Remember, the most important relationship you will ever have is with yourself. And when you learn to honor yourself, you give the world the gift of the truest version of you, one that can impact, inspire, and change the world.